Hello and welcome everybody to this exclusive insider session where we are going to elevate every click in your organization and transform your website and your intranet site with Agent X. Today, you are going to see how you can alter the experience for all of your end users and improve the ability for them to find and locate things seamlessly using AI. Really excited to share this content with you. And today I am joined by the one and only, our VP Sales God, Mr. Vincent Hanson. Put your hands together, give him a big clap because he's amazing. He's got tons of great content to share with you today. So what are we going to talk about? We're going to kick this off by talking about and defining what is Agent X. How is it helpful? And how can you apply that to transform your website? How easy is it to implement? And we're going to show you it in action. You get to see it live. And then last but not least, we'll go through a little review and how you can get a free assessment. So with that, let's turn over to Vince to tell us a little bit more about what's happening out there.
Thanks, Chris. I think all of us have been trained to go to the web, jump on Google, type in search criteria. But let's face it, right? Like there's a lot of information on these websites, and you don't always get what you're looking for. Before this session, Chris and I were talking about a website that I'm familiar with because it's actually the county website of where I live. Chris, why don't we show the users just what we're talking about here?
That sounds great, Vince. Yeah, this is a perfect example of how. I apologize. We're going to have this come up here in just a second, apparently. There we go.
Yeah, so this is the Seminole County website, and I was just, kind of navigating here, looking for the utilities department relating to a portal that I might be able to access. I might be able to see an account payment, or I might be able to make a payment. And so you can imagine there's a lot of information on this website. When we navigate, there is a drop-down box. There's all sorts of departments that you can go to. When we get to the utilities department, luckily, it looks like the information we're looking for is right in front of us, right? Like right at the website. We found it, very few clicks, feeling good,
I mean, she's holding a
except
credit card, Vince. I mean, it seems like you're in the right spot.
that's right, that's right. The problem is when we click on this learn more to go to the water and sewer accounts online, unfortunately, we're navigated to the wrong area on the website. We actually end up on the Board of County Commissioners meeting and agendas and video site. So this is not exactly where we want, and this is exactly the example we're talking about, right? Where I'm now suddenly frustrated. I can't find the information I need. I can't find my account information. I can't make a payment. So I'm now going to get frustrated, probably look for the county's phone number, start making phone calls, potentially get in a hold queue, or maybe just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to be near the county building a little bit later today. I'll just jump in my car and I'll drive over there and I'll talk to somebody in person, right? All of those things that now I can't do this on my own.
Which is absolutely crazy. But I also thought it was interesting because I challenged Vince. What happens if we do a search? What happens if we actually go looking for it using the search bar rather than going through the departments to locate the information? And you notice that when we do the search, it comes right back to the same one result. So not a long hit list, but unfortunately, it does not take us to the page of how to make a payment.
Yeah.
We still cannot make a payment, even using the search bar. Not very effective.
Yeah. So again, lots of frustration, folks making phone calls, coming down to the office. It leads to long wait times for constituents or for customers, busy signals getting put into a hold queue, and then ultimately just a lower satisfaction on trying to get the information or service that you're looking for.
Couldn't agree more. I believe the average right now wait time is about 19 minutes to speak to somebody. who wants to get out 20 minutes of their day just waiting?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing, Vince. Well, at Naviant, our vision is to reimagine work to deliver exceptional outcomes. And if you attended our Reimagine event, you definitely heard countless stories of people being able to achieve those exceptional outcomes by incorporating technology into and improving their processes. And for this example, we want you to reimagine search to deliver exceptional outcomes. Think about search differently and how AI can enable search will bring you answers quickly without having to dig through a long list, hit list of items, and without having to try to find it in a meaningless search box that doesn't take you to your destination, going down that proverbial rabbit hole. So how are we going to do that? We're going to do that with Agent X. And Agent X Search is an AI powered tool that goes on top of any website. So it doesn't matter if you have WordPress, it doesn't matter if you have the Power Pages from Microsoft, it doesn't matter how you built your website or your intranet site. Agent X is cloud hosted. It has a web crawler that will crawl all of your content, catalog it, and make it available to that search agent. And we're going to show you what that looks like a little later. Because when we leverage AI, and of course, having all of that indexing, you're going to have more accurate responses based on natural language. So I don't have to know what department within a county. I don't have to understand from an education perspective where something might live within a university platform or any part of an enterprise platform. I can just simply ask my question in natural language and get a very accurate answer back. Of course, it'll be all accessible, so it meets all the accessibility requirements that everybody has to adhere to now. It also gives you the ability to manage the tone that comes out of that agent. So you can really harness it or brand it to your organization's voice. And all of that is so that your customers, you're going to engage completely differently with them. Those could be constituents, those could be internal, they could be students, they could be hospital staff. Literally anybody who interfaces with your website is going to have a better experience with Agent X. So why would you want to pick Agent X over some of these other tools? Everybody says they have AI today. Everybody says AI is the greatest thing, but deploying it's another little animal. And you're going to pick Agent X because first off, you don't have to change any of your website content. There's no normalizing the data. It simply crawls your content and is able to index that and make it available. And most importantly, it's built around the whole idea of improving self-service. And you're going to see why that's really important in just a minute from Vince. So you can, and this works in any market, any platform, and in virtually any language. And we're going to show you what that looks like later. And because of that natural language, because it works in any language, it really breaks down the barrier of who can interface with your website. It really makes you a global presence, which is really exciting as well. So with that, Vince, tell us a little bit about the different cost structures that can be impacted based on deploying an Agent X solution.
Yeah, so when we start talking about costs, right, let's talk about the different methods, right, that this comparison is shown, right? Like we're talking about a lot of different things. So in person, the average cost for an in-person interaction is $10 or more. In-person support is the most expensive when you start looking at staff, office space, and the opportunity cost for that space. The specific costs can really vary by industry and by service complexity, but these estimates start at $10 per interaction, and they can be much higher, especially given a specific geography or location around the country, right?
Absolutely. That's a great point. That geography really matters.
Yeah. Phone calls, a little bit lower down the scale, but phone call interactions, an average cost is somewhere between $3 to $7 per call. Sometimes they scale up almost as high as $10 to $14. It remains one of the most expensive channels due to, again, high labor cost. You've got those long handling times of people in a queue. And of course, you need to have the infrastructure and technology to be able to support that. Um, these industry benchmarks put those costs between 3 and 7. But again, as I said before, they really can scale up to almost $14 for those calls.
Yeah, still a really expensive option, that's for sure.
Yeah, next we have live chat, one of my favorites. And by live chat, I mean the how can I help you box that pops up on pretty much every website that we go to. Well, guess what? If you want to talk to a person, through a live chat, a real person has to be on the other end of the chat in order for this technology to work. So it's kind of like talking on the phone because it still requires a person, except in this case, you're typing with them and they're typing with you. The cost is still pretty high here. Average cost between $6 to $8 per chat session. Live chat is generally cheaper than phone calls, but still significantly more expensive than self-service. The cost is going to vary, of course. It's going to depend on salary, chat volume, overhead. AI-powered bots and technology can reduce this further. And of course, we're going to talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then, of course, right, what we're really focused on talking about today, self-service. The self-service average cost is between 8 cents to 70 cents per transaction. The self-service portal is really going to be dependent on the information it has, knowledge base, FAQ, some type of form, all of the language model information that it's pulling information from. It's by far the most cost effective with costs that are underneath $1. Because of the automation of this process, because of the lack of human interaction and that human labor component, the self-service model can really be 80 to 100 times less expensive than some of the other channels that we talked about a moment ago.
Yeah, that's nothing to sneeze at, Vince. And I will also say, just from an end user experience, I love having the capability to find an answer myself before I'd ever have to go in person to take care of a particular issue and or make a phone call to make that issue. So if I could go to a self-service portal and get a reliable answer that's accurate, that wins every single time for me.
Yeah, for sure. So let's talk about Agent X Search. The following is really a reality check on how quickly users will leave your website when they can't find the information they're looking for. Things like broken links, we just saw that as a real life example, different information than what they are looking for or searching for on the site, slow web page response, a poor user interface, poor navigation, pop-ups. All of these issues are likely to increase the likelihood that someone is going to hightail it from your website. But there is a rather unique solution to this. Let's take a look at how you can improve user engagement using Agent X Search.
I love that, Vince. So let's dive into seeing Agent X at work. But before we do, this is going to be for our friends in Birmingham, UK. So this is the Birmingham City Council website. This is just like your typical website, just like what we showed for Vince's county, the good old Seminole County website, where I have a list of items that to take action on through simple clicks. And again, going down that rabbit hole of being able to find things. I can also have my search bar here, which is your traditional search. And so I want to do the first thing I want to look up is I'm new to town. I want to be able to get around. How do I get a bus pass? So I put in my bus pass search, and you'll notice that, like any other typical search, that Google-like search, I get 181 hit list of potential items that would apply to me requesting a bus pass. And there's, of course, specialized bus pass information down below. You'll notice that this first one, of course, intrigued me because I thought maybe it was AI talking to me that, hey, there's a bus pass for an older person. What do they mean by an older person bus pass? Well, I can read this here and I can't really see what older is. I can see here's one for travel passes for people from 5 to 16 years old. and so on. But if I go in here, and as you just saw in Vince's slide, the more clicks, the higher probability I'm going to drop and either make a phone call or stop my search, especially if we're doing it from our phone or another mobile tablet, where my patience level is even less than maybe on a PC. And you see, once I click on that link, now I see that the older person's bus pass is awarded when you reach the female state pension age of 66. So it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. All right, great. Well, I'm not quite 66, despite the gray hair. So I don't quite qualify for that older person one. So now I have to, I guess I'm gonna have to go back because I had that 181 hit list and go to the next one. 5 to 16 years old. Well, a child's travel pass. I mean, I don't think I quite qualify as 16 any longer, but this is where I would probably go. And you can see the rabbit hole that it created. Not very effective at being able to find the information for just a simple bus pass. And certainly if I was on my phone, I probably would have hung up by now trying to locate that information. So now let's go to a new world, the Agent X world, where our search is completely reimagined. You'll notice here, I've got an AI-powered search agent. And when I put in my request for my bus pass the exact same way, I have a very different user experience being presented to me. You notice it came back with my question. It came back with links, apply for an older person's bus pass, the child's pass, or register for a login. Well, that's interesting. What's this login to a Broom account? Well, let's read on. So I can apply for it based on that age of 66. You notice I didn't have to click any links. It told me right away, what is an older person's bus pass mean? And I could also tells me additional information that I didn't see in my previous click linked, where I can apply for it 4 weeks before my 66th birthday. Wow, that might change my behavior. It also tells me that I need to register and have a login to a Broom account to complete the online application. So, oh, well, I don't have one of those yet. So now I can simply hit this button and take myself right into where I would need to register or sign up. A much more effective way of answering my question of how do I get a bus pass? I love that example. Let's take a look at another example. So here, you'll notice that I want to be able to, I'm going to stay actually on our we're going to stay on our, so apologize, just to get to my special agent website. So you'll notice that there was another button on here that was kind of interesting, because another common question that people often ask is, how do I report a missed garbage collection? So everyone wants to get their garbage picked up in a timely manner. They get the recycling, they push it out each and every week, at least in my town. And when it's missed, it's very frustrating. And sometimes that's caused due to holidays or other reasons. And you'll notice that there's this new little button right here that's available to us. And this goes into our accessibility, and this is really powerful. So now I don't even have to type it in. I can simply record it here. How do I report a missed garbage collection? You can see it's generated the answer in that little spinning wheel.
To report a missed garbage, bin or sack collection in Birmingham, you should use the official report form provided by the council. This ensures your issue is logged and addressed promptly. You can report your missed collection online through the council's dedicated page.
How exciting is that? I simply, from an accessibility perspective, spoke into the microphone what I was looking for. It generated an AI response with links to the information. And of course, I can read the information, but it immediately started reading it to me, assuming I needed it to be verbal, which I find is really exciting and very user-friendly. So if you were able to press that button and you don't even need to stare at your phone any longer, just speak what you would like to know more about, and it will provide you that answer verbally. Very, very cool. And you'll notice You did notice it does also talk about industrial action, that they are having apparently some strike happening within their garbage collection group. So it even gives you little warnings like that from recent events. So extremely useful tool to find information and more cohesively determine what I need to be able to do. So those are two examples of how powerful Agent X is. But I want to show you one more, and this is probably the most exciting one of them all. So Vince, what is something that you would like to look for from Agent X?
How about where do I pay my taxes?
Well, that's very English speaking of you, Vince. You asked that question very differently to me earlier.
Yeah, what Chris is talking about is I actually speak fluent Italian. My mom is Italian. I spent 4 years growing up there, meeting all my Italian relatives and eating wonderful food. So yeah, in Italian it would be Dove posso pagare la mia tasse?
Thankfully, I didn't have to type this now because he spoke it so eloquently. I'm sure everybody on this insider session wants you to speak the rest of the session in pure Italian. But fortunately, we don't need to be fluent in Italian. But since Vince is, let's see what Agent X does on an English website asking Italian questions. Wow, that was fast. So we've got a link, looks like in Italian. So I get my response back in the native language that I asked the question. And Vince, what does that first line say?
Puoi pagare la tua tasse comunale tramite a tuo account Broom online.
Wow. Okay, that was impressive, Vince. I want you to just read the whole thing for the rest of the session, actually, because it's in this session. Now, for everyone's benefit at home who's enjoying your Italian, let's see what Agent X that says for this. Now, I'm sure it's not going to be nearly as fluent as Vince.
Puoi pagare la tua tassa comunale, council tax, tramite il tuo account Broom online. Per effettuare il pagamento, avrai bisogno del tuo numero di riferimento.
Yeah, I prefer your version, Vince. That was incredible. But how powerful is that? So no matter what language I speak, whatever my native tongue is, I can put my questions in and get my responses back in that same native tongue. So there's no question about understanding what I'm getting back for a response and that accurate answer. I just absolutely love this feature because it breaks down that barrier of language. Oftentimes that comes into play in that whole translation, especially with human agents, even live chat agents. People make mistakes, especially when they don't fully understand the language. And so this breaks down that barrier entirely, which is so fantastic. So even from an internal use case perspective, how handy would it be if your internal people were servicing somebody sitting across from them who were asking questions that they didn't even really understand because of the language barrier? They could solve it with Agent X.
Yeah, Chris, we see this all the time in public sector. Very common in some of the agencies that we work with to have forms and get samples, and many of them are in different language types, Spanish, French. I've seen some in Chinese. So like this feature is one that really speaks to those people that are here that have English as a second language, where there could be a deeper level of conversation, and this on the fly is able to do that translation for them.
Absolutely, Vince. I absolutely love that. It's so true and so helpful. Although I still, again, love your Italian version. Probably the best.
Grazie, Chris. Grazie.
And now I would like a piece of pizza. So now you know what Agent X is, you've seen it in action, and you know why you would want to deploy it. How easy is it to implement? Well, it is extremely easy. Once you make that decision, to enable your users and your external constituents to be able to engage in an AI-powered search. It is as simple, of course, as being able to reaching out to us to be able to deploy this really in a matter of weeks. And I'm just using that generically because there is a look, while it's hosted in the cloud, the one thing it does have to do is it does search or crawl your existing content. So depending how much content that you have out there today, if you have decades of content and really deep, rich documentation about different processes or how to perform certain functions, that Seminole County site we brought up earlier, all those different departments are out there with lots of content. It's just going to take a little longer to crawl in order to give those very accurate and language inclusive accessibility to all that information. But so we'll have to evaluate just how long that takes, but it's really a matter of weeks to have this up and running. And then it's simply embedding that one bar on top of your website, the Agent X interface that everybody will be using. And that's it. This is so easy to optimize your customer engagement strategy. It is so easy to engage with it, which is probably one of my favorite parts because it is not taxing to your IT department. It's not taxing to, if you have a third-party website developer that you work with, it is not hard. They put in that one AgentX bar and we connect the crawler to it so that it can read all of your existing content and we are done. It's amazing. So with that, Vince, tell us a little recap about everything we've learned here today.
Yeah, so in summary, let's talk about those real cost statistics. $10 for every in-person interaction, $3 to $10 for every phone call, $6 to $8 for a live chat on the web, or you could have a solution that is in the 8 to 70 cent range for self-service options like Agent X Search. Strangely enough, the least amount of effort for your customers also provides the greatest level of satisfaction in most cases. If I don't have to drive somewhere, if I don't have to get in a gigantic hold queue and wait minutes and minutes or maybe an hour to talk to somebody, and I can take care of my own question, I'm happier about the experience. So it's weird that it works that way, that this technology could help drive a better experience in getting the information you need or getting the service that you want.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, Vince. And even if you offshore some of it, so we got a lot of customers that offshore some of their phone support, it still can't compare to that 8 to 70 cent price point. That is just phenomenal, phenomenal, and a better experience.
So what's the real value of Agent X Search? Number one, it's agnostic. It's built on top of your existing website infrastructure. You don't have to incur the cost of building a new website. Number two, it lowers your cost by providing efficient self-service. This in turn can eliminate the phone calls and the office visits. Number three, Agent X Search never sleeps. It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, even on holidays. Number four, it supports any user, including users who speak English as a second language. It's pretty amazing that it can answer in the native language as well, just as Chris and I just showed you. Pretty cool stuff.
It is amazing, Vincent. It even works on leap year. So 366. It'll even do leap year.
So now that you've seen this incredible benefit that Agent X Search can provide in servicing your customers, how do you get started? Naviant will conduct a free ROI assessment on how you can achieve a more efficient self-service and better customer experience using the solution. Just scan the QR code. We'll schedule a few minutes to connect and discuss the challenges you're looking to solve using the solution. We can look at and get you some estimates for pricing and discuss a timeline of how we can install this in your environment and start reaping the benefits of Agent X Search.
That's so amazing. I know everyone's busy grabbing their phones right now and trying to make sure they get this QR code, which will email Vince directly so you can get a response back in Italian as well. So
That's right.
don't be shy. Click that QR code and let's get you your free assessment right away so you can take advantage of all these great features we outlined today. Give you another second for the QR code. Great. Vince's inbox will be filling up fast. All right, so we've inspired you to take Agent X and improve your customer experience. And of course, we want you to engage with us at every level. These insider sessions are so helpful to share these most recent developments. But we have lots of other ways that you can engage and learn more, because now you've got the brains thinking about what else could I possibly do. Feel free to engage with our blog and newsletter. They constantly are sharing customer stories and their successes and how the latest, greatest technologies are solving real world business problems. You can join us on LinkedIn and check out our YouTube channel. We post tons of videos out there to be able to inspire you to take action within your organization for your digital transformation strategy and journey going forward. So really a lot of great content out there that we want to make sure we share with you in your journey. So as we stated when we started this, we want you to reimagine work so you can get those exceptional outcomes. And today, we think we've given you all the reasons in the world to reimagine your search so you can deliver exceptional outcomes for your internal and external customers and constituents. Thank you so much for joining Vince and I today and exploring this amazing technology. And we look forward to seeing you again at our next Insider session.
Thanks, everyone.